Just chilling here with the fire, and I got to thinking because this is what I do these days. On account of I've been alone for a year, and that gives you a lot of time to think. Especially since the YouTube algorithm has felt the need to tell me about all kinds of issues that are apparently going on in the dating world that I've been out of for a decade. Um, had a video, and man was talking about all the things you need to do, and of course he was responding to a video of women talking about all the things that you need to do, and all the things that are wrong with the dating world and whose fault it is and a whole lot of other things. And like I said, I've been out of it for a decade, so maybe I'm a little off base here, but and God knows I'm certainly biased considering the way that I had the last 10 years of my life wasted by an individual who spent 5 of them at least, that's just what I know about cheating, and decided to leave the 10-year relationship for an individual who 5 years ago, when she started cheating, who, again, to my knowledge, that individual was cheating when he was talking to her and knew that she was living with a guy at the time. So, I mean, his baby mama and the trailer and his roster, and apparently since leaving here and going there, she's gotten mad at him because he wasn't committed. And I, you know, sometimes things just go the way they go, I suppose. But the more I think about it, and the more I hear about how things are apparently going in the dating world these days, the more I just keep coming around to the idea that, you know, I know my yard needs mowing. I'll get to it. I just keep coming around to the idea that maybe I don't need to go back. Maybe it ain't worth it, you know? Squeaky chair. I gotta sneeze. Bless me. Except don't, because I ain't deserving. But I don't know. I come back to it and I think every now and then, and like I said, I've had a lot of time to think for the last year, and I get why I'm hearing a lot of people, especially those of my own gender, saying that it ain't worth it. That they just want to be alone. I kind of get it because, and I know the algorithm works the way that it works. It shows you the same kind of thing consistently. It builds up that echo chamber, and that's how it works. I'm sure if I had started looking at positive things, it would spam me with positive things. But there does seem to be a rather large amount of the negative experiences, and I just can't help but feel like that. I'm biased, I know, but I can't help but feel that that might be the more realistic answer, or more realistic like presentation of events, because I hear those things, and yeah, the things that people are saying is going on in it, and the problems that people, both men and women, are running into, but especially the men's side. Admittedly, I'm biased. And I gotta tell you, anecdotally, I can testify that, yeah, some of that stuff's definitely true. I've witnessed it myself, I've experienced it myself. And a year out of having lived alone and fought through a number of different things, and still got a few different things to fight through, because, well, when you make certain commitments to people in life, life gets a little complicated when half of your, you know, agreement decides to not be there anymore. Things get a little complicated and expensive very fast. So things take time to deal with, and money too, a lot of money. And I can't remember exactly how the Christopher Titus joke goes, but he made a joke once that said something along the lines of, he made a multi-million-dollar decision and mistake, and he had $0 million before he made the multi-million-dollar decision. So I get it. I do get it. It's expensive making a commitment to another human being, especially when you've done it to the wrong one, which I very clearly did. And I know that if I got into the details of it, and I mean, I've gone into some of the details so far, but if I got really into the details of it, I'm sure there would be an argument of, oh, Kilrain, you're biased, because, well, I am biased, but, you're allowing one bad apple to make you distasteful of the whole process. Oh, you hate women, don't you? And the thing is no, I don't. Some of my favorite people in life are always women. I miss quite a few of them now, because unfortunately I lost them before certain points in my life were reached and certain decisions got made. And I really wish that those women were here now to help me through and understand a few things about life. But they're not. And so I got to deal with it. I got to make do with what I've got. And unfortunately, what I've got is a lot of not great examples on how to exist in life and how to pick a partner and a lot of other things. Excuse me. And I know this is kind of a rambly, unscripted mess. And I also know, because it's not like I have a following on YouTube, it's probably just going to be a bit of babbling put out into the ether, but I could not help but respond, I felt, to some of what has been put out into the ether. Because I cannot help but think to myself that some of these things, look, I am not a hater of women. I'm not a misogynist. I am just a guy who has seen what a bad person can do. I'm not even necessarily going to specify a bad woman, because it ain't got to be a woman. That's the thing. The wrong person of any gender can make a problem. And my problem is, I personally made choices in that relationship that allowed it to get to where it got. I knew about the cheating in year 5. I carried it on until year 10. Not the cheating, I wasn't cheating, but I carried the relationship on until year 10 because I was terrified of being alone. I was terrified of being alone, and the shame of having spent 5 years with a cheater, or well, at the time, with a person who wound up cheating. I have since determined that it's probably reasonable to say that it was probably happening before it got admitted to. That's just statistically speaking, but I don't have proof of that. But I spent 5 years in a relationship with that person, only for them to admit that they had been cheating. I then elected to stay with that person because I believed the apology. I shouldn't have, but I was afraid. I was afraid of going through this life alone. I was afraid that I had made a very bad choice, and that the person who I thought understood me and loved me and cared about me, which was the first time I had ever genuinely felt that from another human being, I was worried that, and I was very afraid that I had made a bad choice. And the fear of that and the shame of having to admit that I had made that bad choice made me want to bury my head in the sand, or I guess bury my head in some cleavage and just Pretend it didn't exist. Pretend it wasn't real, that no. This was just a mistake. She did love me. She cared. She wanted to be here. This was a one-time thing. But as anyone who has ever been cheated upon knows, a cheater's going to cheat. That's a mentality. That's what they do. Now, that's either side of the gender barrier. I don't care. A cheater's going to cheat because a cheater's a cheater. That's what they do. And I carried on that relationship after knowing about the cheating for another 5 years. I doubled that time, and then she broke up with me. Because she wanted to be free, as if being with me had ever been a limitation in that regard. As if the house that I bought for us was a limitation. As if all the help that I had done getting her new career going was a limitation. As if the love and affection that I showed was a limitation. Yes, I'm biased, I'm aware. But one should never allow one bad experience to dictate their lives going forward. Now, admittedly, I have 10 years of bad experience there, so am I really letting one? But I don't have to go 10 years in the past and dredge up a lot of shit to be able to say that this is not a great time. That can be done by just looking at the shared tales of the world that we have. And the thing is that we have the ability to talk to one another nowadays. Both men and women, we have the ability to share our feelings and experiences. That was a loud crack. I love a good fire. Helps you think, helps you sit, you maintain something, and you think, you know. Or ramble, I guess, in my case. Anyway, we have the ability to share our experiences these days. And having that ability is important because it allows us to let each other know the world outside of our bubble. And that's an important thing to know. The world outside of your bubble is important because you spend so much time in one place and in a little bubble that you forget there's a whole world out there. There's a whole world out there, and it doesn't know about your struggles. It doesn't know about you at all. And odds are good that it doesn't really give a shit, which kind of raises the question of what the fuck am I doing recording and posting this video? But that's part of it. That's part of, having that world, is those of us in it presenting our bubbles, because our bubbles are part of that world. The experiences that we see make up that world. And it's what allows us, when we share those experiences, to help tell one another what's going on. The folks that want to give up on dating, on, forming a partnership and all that shit, the folks that want to do that aren't basing it off of one time. Theoretically, I hope not anyway. I'm not. It's being based off the stories that we can hear now. And the thing is, those stories build up the stat sheet, baby. And that stat sheet tells you, man, I ain't too sure about all this being a good idea. The odds ain't in the favor. I'm just saying. What am I saying? What has any of this been? I'm just tired, man. I'm tired, and I hear about all the things going on with people, I hear the stories of the world, and all I can think is, you know, I'm glad I'm alone and I only have myself to worry about in those regards, but at the same time, tell you what, trying to make do with things and being alone is rough. It's rough out here, trying to make things meet, trying to keep stuff together. You know, I'm paying the bills, but having this much time to think, it really lets you come back and say, you know, what am I paying the bills for? You know, like, if you ain't got a partnership, well, that didn't fucking work, did it? If you ain't got a partnership in life, if you're just here by yourself, you know, there's a benefit to that. But I don't know, man. It makes you wonder. I don't think life is supposed to be experienced alone. But I'm not one of those that's going to tell you that whether or not you do experience it alone is entirely up to you. I mean, shit, I made a stronger commitment to my ex than either of our parents did. Our parents weren't married. Mine were married, and that didn't work. Shoot, I think my parents were the first divorce this family saw in a long time. And ostensibly, they're Catholic, which ain't even supposed to do that whole thing. But, you know, when somebody wants to go, they're going to go. And that's what happened with my ex. That's what happened with my parents. That's what happened with my cousins who have had the divorces. You know, somebody wants to go, they're going to go. It just is what it is. And I know some people don't like that phrase these days on account of it is what it is, sounds like giving up. But the thing is, sometimes that's all you can do. Sometimes it really do be what it be. It just is what it is sometimes, man. You can't always do something about everything you don't like. Believe you me, I wish I could help with that whole loneliness and life sucking and all that mess, but what the hell am I gonna do? What the hell is one person gonna do about all that? Anyway, this has gone from one topic to the next. I'm just rambling here, man, and ain't like I know nothing about video editing, so this is just gonna be a big old long post of some dumb motherfucker living by himself and sitting here watching a fire burn and poorly tending to it. On account of it's a little difficult to do with one hand, but you know, that's funny. How many times you gonna hear a man say it's difficult playing with his wood with one hand, huh? Shit. I don't know, man. If this somehow finds anybody to see it and you're one of them that wants to be alone and just has accepted loneliness as your fate, I mean, I get it. I guess that's kind of what I was trying to say is I get it. If you're a woman that wants to be alone, if you're a guy that wants to be alone, if you're just somebody that has tried and has come to the conclusion that it's just not going to work out for you, and as such, it ain't worth it, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, you got to keep trying, man. You got to keep trying. You don't. You don't got to. You got to find something that's worth trying for. That's the thing. And I'm just saying, I get it. I get not wanting to try. Because I thought for 10 years, even after the admission of cheating, I thought what I had was worth trying for. I was deluding myself for 5 years. Because like I said, halfway through the 10 is when I learned about it. And man, I kept trying. And I got to tell you, that was a third of my life at the time. third of my life down the drain trying after something that wasn't ever worth it. I get not wanting to make it a quarter. Not wanting to try again and losing another decade or more. Because that's the thing. As you know, we might be good for a little bit, but the simple reality is all it takes is somebody being upset one time, and if they're the kind, that's it. You know, you put $5 into a slot machine, you pull the handle, and you lose. You lost $5. You know what I'm saying? You lost $5, and that sucks. You lost your $5. You didn't win, but you lost $5. There ain't no part of a slot machine that you lost $5 to that says, oh, well, you have a chance of losing your entire way of life, your job, kids if you have them, your reputation, your sanctity of mind, your sanity, your stability, your finances, everything. Everything can go up in smoke because somebody else had a bad day. And I'm not saying that's a regular occurrence, but I'm saying it's a possibility. And if you're a risk-averse person like myself, pulling the slot machine and having, let's be charitable and say a 1 to 5% chance at worst, which it is not, it is much higher, but let's say charitably at worst, a 1 to 5% chance of everything you own going up in smoke and you losing your shit and your mind. You pulling that handle? I'm not. I don't want to be alone, but I already came too close to losing everything once, man. And the idea of doing it again, I'm just saying. Personally, I'd rather eat a bullet, which will probably get this completely shut down and not shared to nobody, but you know, it is what it is. I'm gonna keep tending this fire. I guess, you know, if you disagree, if anyone sees this, if you disagree, I guess let me know why. I'll play the comment game. Fuck it. I'll have a conversation about it. I'm curious. I really am, actually. If you do agree, you know, let me know. Because, shit, maybe we'll be alone together, you and me, huh? It ain't gonna help it, but at least you ain't alone. You know what this would really go well with? A glass of bourbon. If you're alone, pour yourself a glass, man. I'm gonna.